In the fluorescent-lit computer lab of Lincoln High School, Nebraska, the hum of outdated machines filled the evening air. Jamie Brooks, 17 and already notorious among his classmates for his computer skills, sat alone at Terminal 7, his fingers dancing across the keyboard with practiced precision. The janitor had long since finished his rounds, and even the most dedicated teachers had gone home hours ago. "Working on your science project again, Jamie?" Mrs. Henderson had asked earlier, peering over his shoulder at lines of code that meant nothing to her. Jamie had simply nodded, his dark eyes never leaving the screen. If only she knew what kind of science he was really conducting. For 3 months, Jamie had been planning this moment. The breakthrough had come from an unlikely source, a dusty box of military technical manuals he'd discovered at Goodwill, priced at 50 cents each. The previous owner had apparently worked at Offutt Air Force Base before retiring. Combined with reverse-engineered code from a cracked copy of Satellite Command, a strategy game he'd pirated from a bulletin board system, Jamie had assembled the tools needed for his most ambitious hack yet. The target wasn't some corporate website or school server. Jamie had identified a decommissioned military satellite, designation Keyhole 7, supposedly offline but still receiving power and basic command signals. Through careful research in online forums and military surplus catalogs, he'd mapped its communication frequencies and command protocols. As the clock struck 11:47 p.m., Jamie executed his custom script. Lines of code cascaded down his monitor as the program established contact with the satellite. His heart hammered as authentication barriers fell one by one. Then, suddenly, he was in. The satellite's camera system responded to his commands, pivoting toward coordinates he'd carefully calculated, a classified government facility in the Nevada desert. The live stream began without fanfare. Jamie had set up a simple broadcast to an obscure IRC channel where maybe 6 people were logged in at that late hour. For exactly 42 seconds, grainy black and white footage filled their screens, showing what appeared to be a standard military installation viewed from above. "Holy shit, is this real?" typed user Darknet87. The facility looked typical enough: rectangular buildings, vehicle bays, perimeter fencing. But as the satellite's camera swept across the compound, something extraordinary appeared in frame 18. A figure moved between the buildings, but it wasn't human. At least, not entirely. The entity stood nearly 8 feet tall, its limbs unnaturally elongated and fluid in motion. But what made viewers' blood run cold were its eyes, 2 points of brilliant light that seemed to pulse with their own energy, creating lens flares even on the low-resolution feed. The being moved with impossible grace, seeming to glide rather than walk, its luminous gaze turning upward as if it somehow sensed the satellite's observation. Chat user _404 managed to capture a screenshot just before the feed cut out. "Did anyone else see that?" he typed frantically. "What the hell was that thing?" The few witnesses erupted in chaos. Some claimed it was a new type of military robot, others insisted it was evidence of extraterrestrial life. The footage quality was poor, but the image was unmistakable: something not of this world had been captured on an unauthorized military satellite feed. Within minutes, the screenshot began circulating through underground forums and encrypted chat rooms. The implications were staggering. If the government was harboring non-human entities, what else were they hiding? The Nevada facility had just become the center of the most significant leak in modern history, and Jamie Brooks had made it all possible. The retaliation was swift and surgical. At 3:17 a.m., as Jamie finally prepared to leave the school, his computer screen flickered once and died. Not a normal shutdown, a complete system failure. When he tried to restart it, the machine wouldn't even power on. The hard drive had been wiped so thoroughly that data recovery would be impossible. Jamie's hands trembled as he realized what this meant. They knew. Somehow, they had traced the hack back to him in a matter of hours. The next morning, Lincoln High's principal, Dr. Matthews, called an emergency assembly. 2 men in dark suits stood beside him on the auditorium stage, their faces expressionless, their eyes hidden behind mirrored sunglasses despite being indoors. "Jamie Brooks, please report to the principal's office immediately," came the announcement over the intercom. Jamie's friends watched in stunned silence as he was escorted from his first-period algebra class. Sarah Chen, who sat behind him, later told investigators that Jamie had looked terrified but resigned, as if he'd been expecting this moment. The conversation in Dr. Matthews' office lasted exactly 12 minutes. When Jamie emerged, he was flanked by the two men. He didn't speak to anyone, didn't even look at his friends as they passed through the hallway. His backpack remained at his desk, his locker still full of textbooks and personal items. By noon, Jamie's parents had provided a statement to concerned neighbors. Their son had been selected for a special accelerated program and would be relocating immediately. They seemed nervous, reading from a prepared script, and refused to answer questions about which program or where it was located. The satellite footage vanished from the internet within 48 hours, but whispers persisted in the darkest corners of the web. Some claimed encrypted fragments still existed, hidden behind layers of security that would take years to crack. Others maintained that Jamie had managed to create backup copies before his capture. Today, 15 years later, the Lincoln High Computer Lab still has an empty Terminal 7. Students claim the computer there crashes whenever anyone tries to access satellite imagery, and Mrs. Henderson, now retired, still asks about Jamie Brooks whenever she visits the school. The truth about what happened to Nebraska's most notorious teenage hacker remains buried somewhere in the classified files of the Nevada facility, along with whatever impossible secret he managed to expose for those brief, terrifying 42 seconds.